The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. In his teaching, Jesus said, "Beware of the scribe who likes to walk about in long robes, to be greeted obsequiously in the market squares, to take the front seats in the synagogues and the place of honor at the banquet. These are the men who solicit the property of widows, while making a show of lengthy prayers. The more severe will be the sentence they receive." He sat down opposite the treasury and watched the people putting money into the treasury. And many of the rich put in a great deal. A poor widow came and put in 2 small coins, the equivalent of a penny. Then he called his disciples and said to them, "I tell you solemnly, this poor widow has put more in than all who have contributed to the treasury, for they have all put in money they had over. But she, from the little she had, has put in everything she possessed, all she had to live on."
Your Grace, the Apostolic Nuncio, Your Excellencies, the Bishop and Bishop Emeritus of the Catholic Diocese of Byumba, brother priests, dear seminarians, seminary staff, brothers and sisters. Waramutse neza. Yego. I want to begin by expressing my gratitude to His Excellency the Apostolic Nuncio, Monsignor Catalan, for inviting me here today to share some thoughts with all of you. It is a joy and a real privilege to be with you as you discern your call and deepen your faith. A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to accompany the Apostolic Nuncio on a visit to the Propedeutic Seminary in Rutongo, where I hope, and I know that some of you maybe, will be in there in the near future. During our time there, we celebrated Mass together, much like we are doing right now here. And as I walked through the seminary, I noticed a phrase inscribed on the chapel wall, more or less like you have here. It was written in both Kinyarwanda and in Latin, and it said, "Turashaka kubona Jesu, volumus videre Jesum," which means we want to see Jesus. This phrase has stayed with me, especially as I prepared the homily to speak to you today on the importance of discernment and what it means to seek Jesus with a sincere heart. In today's gospel, Jesus gives a powerful message by warning us about the scribes, these religious leaders who were more concerned with appearances than with the true essence of the faith. These men, we heard Jesus say, wear elaborate robes, seek places of honor, and desire respect and recognition from others. They look holy on the outside, but were hollow within, focusing on privilege rather than on serving others. Jesus' warning, beware of the scribes, wasn't just for his time, but I think it is also a warning for us. And this message is especially important for those of us who are drawn to the life of the church. Jesus' warning calls us to examine our own hearts and ask ourselves, why are we here? Why have we entered this institution? It is natural to appreciate the respect that comes with the priesthood, the way people look up to us, or the special role a priest has in society. We too dress in long robes, and perhaps for some of us, the sight of a priest's vestments may even have been the first thing that sparked our thoughts about a vocation. These things, however, must never be the reason we pursue this calling. If they are, then we risk becoming like the scribes, focused on titles, on honors, rather than on the loving service of the people of God. In today's gospel, Jesus shows us a better way through the example of a poor widow. This woman who has little offers everything she has. 2 small coins to the temple treasury. It is not much, but it is all that she has. And Jesus points her out to his disciples, saying that she has given more than anyone else because she gave from her poverty. Unlike the scribes who want recognition, this widow gives quietly without expecting praise. She offers her small gift in faith, trusting that God will provide. And in this humble act, she teaches us what true faith looks like. And the first reading also takes us to the story of another widow, the widow of Zarephath, who is in a desperate situation. She and her son are preparing to eat their last meal, and then they will die. But when Elijah asks her for food, she gives him the little that she has. She does so out of trust, believing that God, through the prophet, will not abandon her. Indeed, her jar of flour and the jug of oil never run dry. Seminary is a time of formation, but it is also a time of questioning. Jesus invites you today to ask yourselves, what are my motivations? Am I here because I want to serve? Asking these questions doesn't mean you are weak in faith. In fact, it is a sign of humility and honesty before God. I can tell you that from my own experience, dedicating my life to Christ has been worth it. When I was your age, I too questioned if I could really offer something of value to the church. I also wondered if my small contribution would be meaningful. But I've learned that when we offer our lives to serve others, God multiplies our efforts in ways that we could have never imagined. Like the widows, we may sometimes feel we have little to give. But He does not forget us. He does not abandon us. He uses even our smallest gifts to accomplish great things. So as you continue your journey, I encourage you to follow the example of these widows. Give God your whole heart, even if you feel you don't have much to offer. Remember that true faith doesn't seek honor or recognition, but trusts that God will provide for our needs. And keep asking yourselves, why am I here? And trust that if your answer is, I want to serve the Lord, God will guide you, support you, and make your offering fruitful. So going back to that phrase that I saw inscribed in the chapel wall in Rutongo, let me too ask you this question. Murashaka kubona ichi. Murashaka kubonande. What are you looking for? Who are you looking for?
God